In this video, I'm going to talk about the very annoying mask debaters and the problems they cause. So obviously from the title, you can tell it's a pun, and I like a good pun, and my last name is just the best for puns. So you can imagine why, people have asked me, how can we call it the DeFlame diet? And I was like, well, are you serious? You think I'm going to call it the semen diet? I mean, can you imagine if someone was worried about their immune health? They said, I've changed my diet around. And their friend says, well, what diet are you on? Well, I'm on the semen diet for immune health. So you can imagine the look on your friend's face if you were to say that to them. So puns are great and they're hilarious, I think. And so I created one that I posted on my DeFlame Nutrition Facebook page. You're more than welcome to go over there and drop this image on any annoying mask debater that occupies your feed a bit too much. So what are the mask debaters missing? And right down here, I'm circling this big fat belly because what we know is that COVID-19 is not a virus crisis. It is an obesity crisis. It is an obesity crisis. So COVID-19 is not a virus crisis, which means that it is not a mask crisis. It is not a lack of a vaccine crisis. So the mask issue, the vaccine issue would never have come to light had people been properly educated to the fact that COVID-19 is not a virus crisis. It is an obesity crisis. So what do we know about obese people? Now, the thing about obesity is that you can start off lean and you can gradually march up to the point where you're like this and feel like crap. Well, at this point, you may not be in the crisis mode. You may not have 1 through 6 activated. You got to cross the threshold into high flame. So what about these high flaming obese people? Well, 1, obese people are more prone to infections. 2, obese people shed more viruses. 3, obese people create more viral mutations, and they have increased virulence. 4, obese people stay infected longer, so they are more contagious. Never heard that, did you? 5, obese people breathe more heavily and more frequently, and so expire more viruses. Now, again, in this obesity process, going from lean to enormous, there is a point where you cross the threshold where respiration changes. Not every initially obese person, or as they move into it, suffers from this heavier, more frequent breathing. But once they cross the threshold, this is what happens. They breathe more frequently, more heavily, and expire more viruses. And finally, vaccines are less effective for obese people. So what have scientists done with this information? Well, here's an example. This is published in 2020. Due to prolonged viral shedding, quarantine in obese subjects should likely be longer than normal weight individuals. So why haven't we heard about this? Well, for whatever reason we have not. Now that you know this, you should ask yourself, what else do I not know about this whole immune mess and the whole SARS-CoV-2 and other viral infections? So this is the back of my new DeFlame diet for immune health, and I'm going to show you 3 topics that are of interest. Well, they're all of interest to me, of course, but with this one right here, COVID-19 versus the flu, what is the difference? Well, in this chapter, I talk about the hyperglycemia, the high blood sugar issue for COVID-19, which assists the SARS-CoV-2 virus in entering cells. We should know about that, and obese people tend to be hyperglycemic. Now, the other thing about obesity that you should know is that you do not have to be overtly, obviously obese, like walking down the street. You could be normal weight, but metabolically obese. Yeah, that's up to 20% of the population, maybe more, of normal weight individuals. It's actually more than 20%. Let's call it 20-25% of normal weight individuals are metabolically obese, which means these normal weight individuals who are metabolically obese also live in a viral infection state, Vitamin D deficiency creates a viral infection state. Now, what does that mean? Well, what happens during this obesity and D deficiency state is that the immune system changes. The immune cell population shifts towards an overproduction of immune cells that are also the same immune cells that are involved in combating viral infections. So if you're living in an obesity vitamin D deficient state, you are like pre-flamed to be a poor responder if a viral infection comes about. So if you want to learn more about this, you can cruise right over to Amazon and score my new book. You can click on the look inside function. There's a couple of chapters that they show. You can kind of look through and all the chapter titles to see if this book might be of interest to you. Down below in the description of this video, I have the link to this page on Amazon for you to check out.